CAT has predominantly been a conceptual paper rather than a calculation heavy paper, and thus it becomes all the more important to have a good hold in concepts. Hi everyone, my name is Ayush Tiwari, and I'm a mechanical engineering graduate from National Institute of Technology, Raipur. I had a 99.99 percentile in CAT 2020, and I'm currently pursuing my MBA from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. My past academic record is 10 CGPA in 10 standard in CBSE board, 89% in 12 standard in CBSE board again, and an 8.74 CPI in my graduation. I graduated in 2021 itself, and I have joined IMA as a fresher. During my undergraduate years, I was heavily inclined towards engineering domain, and I worked a lot in that area. I was actively involved in automotive projects right from the first year in college. During these years, I worked both as a team member and a team leader, and I realized that I had dreams that went above and beyond engineering. I wanted to pursue a leadership position in the industry, and that was when I decided to pursue an MBA and consequently enroll for a business school. I started preparing for CAT during March last year. It was around the time when the first national lockdowns were imposed, so I had a considerable time to invest in preparation. The first 3 months of my preparation were solely focused on concept building and understanding the pattern of the exam. The mock season starts in June, and that is when I started giving mocks diligently. The initial few mocks were very challenging as I was just developing my habit of sitting for 3 hours. And also by the time I was done with two sections, I was already exhausted. With time, my resilience and concentration went up and I could sit for 3 hours without any issues. CAT later changed the pattern from 3 hours to 2 hours in September. And that is when I had to completely rethink my test taking strategy, as in a 2 hour paper, even a slight mistake in picking questions could spiral down to losing a significant percentage of the time. In the end, I was fortunate enough to get a good enough score on the actual test. Like most engineers, VARC was a very complex subject for me. Initially, when I started preparation, I couldn't go through the entire passages in one go, and I was easily distracted by any small change in tone of the passage or when the author used tricky words. It is a very common advice for VRC that you should read a lot. It did work for me, partly in the sense that it did not help me comprehend better, but it gave me the patience and ability to go through the passage all at once while making connections between individual paragraphs. I was reading lengthy essays and editorials, which were over 3,000 words each, and usually CAT passages are over 400 to 600 words. Thus, I was comfortable when I was reading a passage, however dense the topic might be. It also helped me reduce my reading time. I was able to go through the entire passage in roughly 3.5 minutes, which gave me enough time to ponder over the questions and come back to the passage itself if and when I needed. I had deliberately set a very harsh time limit for solving VRC because I knew I couldn't understand the passages well if I was under time pressure near the end. For verbal ability, my focus was more on odd one out and summary questions because I believed that the return on investment in parajumbles was just not good enough for me. I had thus made a calculated timeline of how I would go about the paper and what would be my priority while solving questions. Talking about DILR, when I started giving mocks, I thought this section is my kryptonite. I was always short on time and I was not picking up the right sets. I was sure that DILR was not my cup of tea. I remember asking people, how do I get out of this fear in DILR? The best advice I got was to just face it. Sure, back then it seemed like a blanket statement, but in hindsight, I know that this was the best advice I ever received. I started solving more questions, started analyzing the mocks properly, and gradually my confidence rose. From being an above average scorer, I went to score 100 percentile in DILR. The biggest mistake that I believe people do in approaching DILR is setting an upper limit. People go into the exams thinking that I'll solve X number of sets or Y number of sets. Even the best coaching institutes advise to aim for a given number of sets, and that will get you your desired percentile. But we have to look at the absolute score as well. You might just get a good percentile in the ILR section, but overall score might not reflect that. For this reason, I never had an upper ceiling for sets or questions in the ILR. My only approach was to solve as much as I can. Again, it boils down to how you are as a test taker, and subsequently, you have to find out what style suits you while being cognizant of your limits. Quantitative aptitude, or QA, has been one of the highest scoring sections of the CAT. Over the years, pattern of CAT exam has remained the same in terms of QA, with an occasional change in difficulty level. Quant was always my strong suit during preparation. I knew that I could maximize my score in quant and push my overall score further. Before getting into mocks and sectionals, I dedicated a considerable amount of time to build up on my concepts. CAT has predominantly been a conceptual paper rather than a calculation heavy paper, and thus it becomes all the more important to have a good hold in concepts. Post that followed diligently solving mocks and analyzing them well. One mistake that I did was to take quant for granted. For a brief period of time, I thought that I will do good in quant anyways, so I should focus my time on the other two. It did hurt my scores in quant, and I was back to square one. So it is important to focus regularly on weak and strong subjects equally. Because I was fairly confident in quant, my aim was to solve everything that comes up in the paper. And of course, if it is difficult for me, it will be difficult for everyone. So I didn't care much about how much I would really solve. CAT is just not about your knowledge. You have to be the best version of yourself only during for those 2 or 3 hours, and that's it. Never compare your marks and strategy to anyone. Everyone has a different test taking skill, and you have to find the right strategy for yourself. Do not benchmark your score on any trend or individual. Your aim should be based on your strengths, and you have to push it accordingly. I joined IIM Ahmedabad for the PGP batch of 2021-23 in July this year. It has been an extremely transforming experience. Over the last 3 months, we have covered a multitude of courses in diverse areas. In addition to theories, we have been exposed to the industry with case studies, and it has really augmented our learnings. It is often said that A in IMA stands for academics, and I can surely say that it has been true for term one. It has been a fun and hectic 3 months, but every day has taught us something new. It is just not about the curriculum itself. The environment wants to inculcate a strong character in the students. Ethics and integrity are one of the most foundational stones, and we are expected to maintain that code of conduct every day. The classroom experience is simply the best. Classes are designed in such a way where we reach conclusions and apply concepts collaboratively. We have people from the different academic and professional backgrounds, and it just adds to the quality of discussions and results. We are barely taught anything without examples. We have real life examples of the concepts we apply, and these case studies are from different geographies and countries. So we have the exposure of companies at the global level. The last 3 months have been challenging, but fun and engaging nonetheless. If you are preparing for CAT or any other MBA entrance exam, I wish you all the best. Just be confident in all the hard work you have put in and believe in yourself. CAT is not simply a theoretical paper. Rather, it also tests you on your composure and time management skills. You have to be prepared for anything that the paper might throw at you. Lastly, take care of your health, put your sincere effort, and never hesitate in reaching out for help from anyone. Just know that it is okay to lose sometimes, but it is not okay to give up.